The New England Patriots continue to put the NFL on notice, defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a final score of 28-23, moving to 8-2 on the year, and now Drake May is the MVP frontrunner. Let's get into this game breakdown. Before we get into the game breakdown here, on a game as a whole, this really was a playoff type like matchup just by how these coaching staffs really approached this game. And just the chess match between Josh McDaniels, Todd Bowles, Vrabel's defense, Zach Kerr making the call, going up against the Tampa offense. You just saw so many moving parts into this game, whether it was bringing pressure from different locations, whether secondary, backs, run blitz calls versus pass blitz calls. It really does not matter. Perimeter runs versus inside runs. It was squeaking out every chunk of yardage that you can get. And there was a lot of times where it was either a boom or bust type play for both teams, resulting in 20-plus yards or negative plays. And the numbers in the third and long success for both type teams really is representative of just how playoff football is going to be played. And for the Patriots to come out, win this game on the road nonetheless, and never really have a moment where they looked overmatched by a very good Buccaneers team. There's so much talk about this Patriots team. Oh, look at the competition. Well, today, they go on the road, defeat a division leader in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who has some high playoff aspirations of themselves, and show why they are one of the better teams in the AFC, and they should be treated as such going into the final stretch of this season. But looking into the offensive recap for this game, the Patriots, funny enough, actually lost the time of possession battle and the turnover battle. And if you told me that would have happened before this game, I would think 10 out of 10 times that the Patriots would have lost this game. However, it wasn't a great disparity in either category, only around a 3-minute possession loss and a -1 turnover differential for the Patriots. But today, the Patriots just hit on more explosive plays than the Buccaneers. And I would say overall, the Buccaneers were probably the more efficient team. But the Patriots just had so many big plays in big-time moments that won them this game. And that's due to the fact of how well this offensive line played, which allowed for the Patriots to attack this Buccaneers defense down the field, which is some of Drake May's favorite throws. And that's been a result of why this pass protection has struggled at times this season. Even though I think that the numbers are a bit inflated, it's because of how long Drake May is holding on to the football here, looking for these deep shots deep down the field, as well as some of just the ticky-tack sacks he's been taking like a couple yards behind the line of scrimmage and stuff like that. But the offensive line only gave up 1 sack on the day. And going up against the Todd Bowles Buccaneer defense that likes to send a ton of pressure, this offensive line performed very well, I would say. And you have to take that as a result of the Patriots' stance. I mean, Drake May had been sacked 12 times in the past 2 weeks compared to 1 time today, going up a team that likes to blitz. And at times, the Buccaneers were a little hesitant to send pressure just because of how well Drake May has played versus the blitz this season. And this goes back to my coaching point earlier on in the video that I made. It was several plays early on in this game, whether it was the Pop Douglas quick slant throwing into the blitzer where the Patriots were able to rattle off a big-time gain on third down. It was the 3rd and 15 toss play to Travion Henderson for 20-plus that gave him a first down, not putting all the pressure on Drake May. And Josh McDaniels understanding, hey, this is what Bowles likes to do here. He's going to be sending pressure. Let's get this outside toss and fool this defense. So it was stuff like that kind of micromanaging in the game that allowed for some of these bigger plays to take place down the field. And Tony Romo kind of alluded it on the broadcast. I understand he's corny at times, but there's one thing, he knows what he's talking about. And it was the Patriots keeping with the run that kind of set up those deep play action passes, or at least keep the Buccaneers defense hesitant and not allowing their offense to get too one-dimensional. And we saw that in particular on the touchdown throw to Kyle Williams from Drake May, of course. And the Patriots were able to do that because of how the formation was based off. They went to the I form. It looked a little bit like mass protection there, but it was a play action pass where they kind of stretched Kyle Williams a bit on a crossing pattern versus man, and the Patriots waited to call that play early on in this game when I believe it was Jamal Dean was actually off the field. And that was Kyle Williams' only catch on the day, but it was for 72 yards and a touchdown, and Drake May just put it in a perfect spot. It was a nice, clean pocket. He did get a little bit of pressure at the end there, but stood with the throw, just making a great throw to Kyle Williams, and really allowed for him that yards after the catch where he had a couple steps on that defensive back, and with Kyle Williams' speed, once he caught that ball, there was no one there to catch him for 72 yards. And that play was all set up because the Patriots were sticking with the running game, and it absolutely fooled the Buccaneers secondary as well as the backers, and it allowed for the Patriots to hit on that big-time shot. And of course, there were other plays in this game that really helped determine the outcome of that final score. Of course, that 2-minute warning stretch for the Patriots were getting that ball all the way down into the red zone and not allowing the Buccaneers to get that final possession right before the end of the first half. It was very similar to how the Patriots failed to do that last week against the Falcons, turning it over there in that game. But this time it was just so much better, properly executed. It was a long drive, keeping Baker on that sideline there. I believe they were actually down 10-7 at the time, but came away with a 14-10 lead. I mean, inside the Buccaneers 10, knowing the Bucs had no timeouts left, the Patriots were literally throwing away downs here. I think that Drake May kind of said, oh no, I was still trying to score on that sneak. I don't believe that whatsoever. It looked like he kind of moved backwards, or at least straight up just got back to the line, deliberately throwing away a play just to waste clock. And for the coaching staff to have the trust in the players to properly execute down the stretch there, that is a very risky decision, especially with how poorly the Patriots have kind of ran the ball up the middle. And with this offensive line, the kind of struggles that they have getting that interior push at times from the rushing attack, there's no guarantee that the Patriots end up getting a touchdown in that instance there. But it took them all the way till fourth down. And the trust between Drake May and Stephon Diggs, that corner route there, just a perfectly thrown ball. And what a catch by Stephon Diggs, just high-pointing that football in the toe tap right after that to come down inbounds there. That's a huge momentum swing, literally going in the halftime. No time left, 14-10 there. And then to come out like they did in that third quarter, I believe this is actually the 6th game in a row that the Patriots have scored on their first possession of the second half there. And for them to do it on an inside run, I believe there was a little bit of a duo play, gap play there, where they double-teamed, I think it was Vita Vea, and Matt Collins just had a great block on the end and really set the edge for this offense. And Travion Henderson just hit that hole for that 51-yard touchdown run. But that's where playoff football is going to be decided in terms of running the football and closing out games. So for the Patriots to show that they have the ability to run some inside plays there and get very positive yardage is only going to help them down the stretch of this season where they're going to have to run the football. And after that play, the Bucs made sure to really shore up the interior run defense. But that also allowed the Patriots to have some strikingly success on the outside runs, which is where Travion Henderson usually is at his best. And we saw that in that final play for the Patriots offense where Travion Henderson was able to get to the outside. And you saw more of Kyrus Tonga there in at that fullback set. And that was just bully football by the Patriots. It was a stance where the Buccaneers were going to have to get the Patriots off the field for them to stay in that game and keep it at one score. And the Patriots said, hey, no, we're going to make you use all your timeouts right here, and we're going to keep the ball on the ground, playing bully ball, and just doing what they do well in the run game, which is getting the ball to the exterior on that toss play. Like I said before, great blocking execution. And I do think it means a little something extra for the Patriots to keep the ball in the ground on that instant and close that game out. Because as I alluded to earlier, that's how you're going to win playoff football games. If you have the ball, you're going to have to make sure you run the clock out. And for them to finish that game without having Drake May to have to make a home run type caliber play like he did on the previous drive is that much more incredible. But let's get back to the previous drive because Drake May did not have himself a perfect game. Of course, the incompletions are going to come and go when you're throwing the ball down the field, and that's what's been so crazy about him this year. He's been as effective as really anyone in NFL history when throwing the ball down the field. But of course, today he did have a little bit of inaccuracies. But that interception in the red zone, after you make that 60-plus yard throw to Matt Collins on that fly route there, is just strictly unacceptable. And I understand you're trying to make a play, and this is something that you're going to have to wager with Drake May. This is something that he makes a lot of positives out of, but this is also something that will backfire with you on that gunslinger mentality. And he already did his job at that point. He got the team in position to go ahead and make it an 8-score game. Or, at the very least, a 2-score game if you don't throw that ball away. And I understand it was a bit of a dead play from the start. Just take your losses there and make that game an 8-point game and not allow the Buccaneers offense a chance to really go ahead and take the lead at any point. And luckily, the defense bailed them out, got them another possession. Of course, Travion hit on that big-time run there. But those type of mistakes, especially in the playoffs, giving teams extra bits of life, can always come back to haunt you. And you just don't want to see that, Those are the type of plays that he has to eliminate. However, he still played a great game, just continues his MVP case there. Throwing the ball down the field, he is so accurate down the field. And of course, earlier on in the game, I think that the weather conditions kind of had that effect on him. But just how good he is with a clean pocket. And even when he's getting pressured versus the blitz, how accurate he is down the field just expands this offense by so much. The Patriots are never in an instance where they're out of a drive just because of how Drake May can have so much success on 3rd and long. And we saw that today. Just good execution by Drake May on some of these 3rd and longs. Of course, I already alluded to it. That 60-yard bomb to Matt Collins. Of course, he had that big-time play on the crossing route to Stephon Diggs earlier in the game. I mean, the throw to Demario Douglas on the 3rd and short, not in 3rd and long, but just understanding where the blitz was coming from and throwing into that blitz, allowing Pop Douglas to have some big yak yardage after the play. It's stuff like that, and you pair that with his scramble ability and his accuracy really anywhere on the field. It's just an incredible, lethal combination to have. And when you give him the proper amount of time for him to make a play, most of the time he's going to make those type of plays. And that's what makes him in this offense so difficult to stop, because they're never out of a drive just because of how much load he carries on the offensive end and just how much of an impact he's going to make on every single offensive drive. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball today, the Patriots won this game to me on 3rd and 4th down from a defensive standpoint, as well as their defense did not give up the back-breaking plays that the Tampa Bay defense kind of did at points in this game. The Tampa Bay defense gave up 4 plays of 50-plus yardage, and that accounted for basically half of what the Patriots' total yardage was on the day in 4 plays. Where, of course, the Patriots did give up some explosive plays, but it was nothing to the point where they absolutely sold the game from a defensive standpoint. Emeka Egbuka had a couple 20-plus yard catches and stuff like that, but it was never to the point where it absolutely crippled the Patriots defense. And not only that, the Patriots defense really tightened up in the red zone. And once the Buccaneers kind of got beyond half field or midfield for the majority of the game, the Patriots defense did a really nice job of kind of shutting down what got the Buccaneers there, which oftentimes it was either taking away Emeka Egbuka by double teams or putting him against Christian Gonzalez. And that was a key matchup in today's game. I think the broadcast actually alluded to it. I think that Gonzo only gave up 2 catches for 7 man reps against Emeka Egbuka. So, of course, Christian Gonzalez won that matchup once again. And that's just what a shutdown corner does. You know, there are, of course, going to be plays where he gets beat. But for him to really kind of blanket Emeka Egbuka and only hold him to 2 catches on 7 targets and man, especially on some of the man coverages that he was playing against him in, 3rd and shorts, 4th down, stuff like that. For him to win the majority of those battles is huge for this defense and taking away the number 1 option for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into this game. And that's what good defenses do. They're going to take away the number 1 option. And of course, Egbuka still had himself a monster day, 100-plus receiving yards. But in the critical joints of the game, whether it was 3rd and short, 3rd and long, 4th and short, they made sure to neutralize the Buccaneers' number 1 option and really force them to go to other guys. And of course, sometimes the Buccaneers made some plays. Cade Otton had himself a very good day. But what I liked about the Patriots, what they did today, is they leveraged how they were going to let the Bucs beat them in today's game. For the majority of the day, they were going to force the Bucs to beat them on checkdowns to the tight end or maybe throws across the middle of the field or deep outs and stuff like that. Never got beat deep truly on a huge back-breaking play. But also, the Patriots did a great job of adjusting once the field got shortened to take away everything that allowed the Buccaneers to get up to that point. And a play I'm talking about is the Craig Woodson pass breakup on Cade Otton on that 3rd down play right before the final Bucs offensive play of the game, or at least on that 4th down drive. I mean, just coming down and kind of hammering Cade Otton there and not allowing him to come up with that football, setting up that 4th down stop where the Patriots were able to get a ton of pressure. Those are the type of plays that become more and more difficult to hit on against this Patriots defense, because on the earlier drives, they're going to play that zone coverage and they're going to give you that check down. But when the field tightens up and they understand that, hey, we're not going to get beat deep here, or even if we do, it's only like a 20-yard gain for a touchdown, they're going to play more aggressive. And they just did such a nice job of kind of leveraging their aggression level on the defensive end to really match where the Buccaneers were from a field position battle. And that's kind of been a little bit of the opposite for the Patriots in terms of the defensive kind of statistics this year, where if teams get to the red zone, they've been having a ton of success. But today's game, the Patriots made sure that the Buccaneers really did not have a lot of chances to get to that red zone. And that's somewhere where this defense has really thrived. It's kind of been, once this opposing team gets across midfield, not allowing them to really hit the red zone and kind of get points from the easy way in terms of stuff like that. That's where this defense has been so oppressive. And it's through the packages. It's stuff like the defensive line type play. I mean, there are packages where they have Tonga, Farmar, Anthony Jennings, not your typical better pass rush unit on the field compared to your kind of quote-unquote death lineup of Big Milt, Barmore, Calevon, and Harold Landry on the field. It's just a really nice job by the coaching staff kind of leveraging every substitution pattern to when they have their best players on the field when they got those needed type plays. And we really saw that on that fourth down stop, just the amount of pressure that both Milton Williams and Calevon Chason really got to blow up that play. And it was through different type of blitzes in today's game where the Patriots had a lot of success. I mean, Robbie Spillane had a ton of success in the run blitz today. Kind of one of those, what I like to call the shoot it blitzes, where he just absolutely goes downhill, kind of messes up the offensive line continuity in their blocking scheme and kind of blows the play up. But the Buccaneers actually had a lot more success on the ground game than I thought they were going to have. And that once again kind of goes back to how the Patriots defense were really leveraging how they were playing this Buccaneers offense. They said, hey, we're going to give you these underneath throws. We're going to let you run the football if you want to. But in the critical instances, they came up and they made some big-time plays, and it really forced the Tampa Bay offense into some very difficult situations, and this is why this Patriots defense played as well as they did today, only giving up 23 points to the Buccaneers offense. I understand that the Buccaneers offense has struggled at times this year to get up some points, and I understand that they're missing a lot of guys, but Baker Mayfield has been in the MVP discussion for a reason, and they still have playmakers on that other sideline, as well as a very good coaching staff. For the Patriots defense to play like they did today, it's very encouraging, and it's really been something that they've been doing all year, the bend but don't break approach, and that's why I'm very confident that this team is going to be able to rely on this defense in multiple attempts, even when the offense kind of stalled out at times in this second half, even in last week's game where they stalled out multiple times. The defense continues to step up, and that's complementary football, and that's why this Patriots team has gone on this 7-game win streak, and it's been reflective in the second half numbers. Like I said before, if the offense is stalled in the second half, the defense has done such a nice job of stepping up in that moment, whether it's forcing takeaways, starting to amp up the pressure and get to the quarterback more. I mean, today, the Patriots got a ton of pressure on Baker Mayfield. I understand that they only resulted in 2 sacks. I believe it was Calevon Chason technically credited with 1, as well as Elijah Ponder kind of getting the other. And it's multiple guys stepping up. But it felt like there was pressure at a ton of times. And in the key instance especially, that fourth down play, that stunt that Big Milt and Calevon Chason ran, that really blew up the entirety of that play for the Buccaneers. And to do that on a game-defining play. And I understand that the Patriots aren't necessarily up there in terms of their sack numbers. And eventually, they're going to have to start getting the quarterback on the ground, especially when they're facing teams like the Bucs and the Bills in these playoff-type contenders. But the pressure rate that they get is serviceable enough when they force these negative plays in setting up teams in these 3rd and longs where they've been so instrumental in terms of tuning up their pass rush, staying ahead of the sticks and winning on these early downs like this Patriots defense has done many times this season is why they're having so much success. And it's really just been a continuance of what they've been doing well all season in terms of their defensive philosophy and why they were able to really hold the Buccaneers to 23 points in this game. So it's just an encouraging sign that the defense continues to really improve on a week-to-week basis, no matter who they're facing. And I know that the Buccaneers were down some guys, but they still have a talented offense. Last week, I understand that the Falcons' record is not good, but they still have talented guys on that offense. And for the defense to come out on a week-to-week basis like they have these past 2 weeks and overcome the talent on the opposing side and playing good, disciplined football, that just shows that they're ready for the playoffs. It shows that they're ready to play good complementary football, and that's why they've been on such a winning streak, because not only has the offense been improving and Drake May continues to play at an elite level, This defense is not giving opposing offenses the chance to beat the New England Patriots. And that's why this team is playing such good brand of football right now. And that's why they're 8-2. All right, everyone. The Patriots moved to 8-2 thanks to some help from the Dolphins. The Bills take an L this week, so the Patriots have a game-and-a-half lead over the Bills, sit firmly at the top of the AFC East with another AFC rival coming in on a short week, that being the New York Jets. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And once again, thank you so much for watching.